Look at this thing. It's been 48 hours and we started with just flour and water, and already we've got quite a bit of life going on in this jar. So it's day 3 and we're gonna discard and we're gonna feed this thing. All right, let's take a quick look inside the jar. So inside the jar, you can see there's some bubbles. Clearly this thing has expanded. We marked it with the red rubber band yesterday, and at about, I guess, maybe the 16-hour mark, it had expanded. I decided to just like put a blue rubber band on there just in case it started to recede before we got to the 24-hour mark, which is now. Just so we could see like how high it went and then how it started to recede back down. Because eventually there will be this peak of your starter is as active it's gonna be, and then it's running out of food and everything starts breaking down, and wherever the starter rose to in the jar, it starts receding back to wherever it's gonna end up. All the air starts coming out of it. But this looks really good. This is a great result for 48 hours of starting our starter. And today, a couple different things are gonna happen. Or one main different thing is going to happen. We're going to do a discard. So discarding starter means we're going to throw some away. And when you get to making bread on a regular basis, a discard really shouldn't be too necessary. And there are 3 different ways to manage your starter, and we can get to those later down the road after we've made dough and you need to do something with this. For now, just know that this is a necessary part of the process. And I wouldn't want to use this discard to make like a sourdough crepe or a sourdough pancake or whatever discard recipe you look up, because it just isn't established yet and it doesn't have a whole bunch of flavor. So I'm not really that interested in using it. So it's only 7 days. We're just throwing away a little bit. It's just how it is. That's the deal. Anyway, smell it. Smell your starter. It should smell different today. Always, be aware of like what kind of air do we have in the jar, like through the sides, not only like what's bubbling on the surface. And yesterday I said it just smelled like flour. I would say it smells floury, and today it's just starting to have like a little bit of a sour, acidic kind of aroma to it. Nothing unpleasant, but definitely doesn't just smell like flour anymore. All right, what's in here? There's 150 grams of material, because yesterday we had 50 grams of starter, we fed it 50 grams of water and 50 grams of bread flour. Now today things are gonna change a little bit, because if you think about the ratio that we talked about yesterday, it was a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio. So if I have 150 grams of starter in here now and I feed it a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio, that means I'm gonna feed 150 grams of water and 150 grams of bread flour. If we do that, suddenly we're gonna need a 5-gallon bucket by the end of the week, because if we don't throw some away, and this is why this has to happen, if we don't bring this back down to a smaller amount, we're gonna need to use a lot of flour and a lot of volume to feed this, and we can't use it yet. It's not established enough to leaven some bread. So we're still trying to build this culture of yeasts and bacteria that's eventually going to be able to leaven some bread for us. But right now it's just not ready to do that. And we're gonna throw away 100 grams. We're gonna bring this down to the 50 grams that it was yesterday, and then we're gonna feed it 50 and 50. And that's gonna be kind of our process for the next few days. Now we're gonna use the paper towel discard method, because this is gonna make it so there's less cleanup. So any kind of bowl, cereal bowl, stainless steel bowl, whatever, a couple paper towels, we're just gonna discard it into the bowl, and then we can just pick it up, throw it away, and then there's one less thing to wash. And I like that. Okay, on the scale, and my jar weighs 583 grams, and that's cool. Of course, I tried to weigh in 50 and 50, but maybe I got a couple extra grams of water or an extra gram of flour. No worries, we're in the neighborhood. So if you end up with plus or minus a few grams, no problem. But I want to bring this down, and we know that my jar weighs 430 grams, right? There it is. I made a note, so I never forget, so I know how much starter's in here. And this is going to be important for right now. As we remove some, I want to know what's left behind, because we're trying to get down to 430, the weight of my jar, plus 50, so 480 grams. Hey, it's math. Useful in an everyday situation. Okay, just whatever spoon. And when you dig into it, you know, you can kind of like feel it. Feel how different it is. And I should probably switch camera angles here and get a shot of what this looks like in the jar, so I will. Okay, so this is what my starter looks like in the jar. Let's see, zoom in, why not? And if you remember like how this looked yesterday, and it was real thick, and I already started poking around at this, so you didn't get to see like that there was air in here, but it should look pretty stringy, melted marshmallowy, melted cheesy kind of texture. And that's, you know, become aware of everything. Be observant of all the ways that your starter is behaving, from the way it smells, the way it feels, the way it looks, and you know, you'll have a better idea of, you know, when it's ready and what it needs. So here we go. I'm just going to scoop some out, and you know, if I take too much out, I can definitely get it back out of the paper towel. So don't worry if you totally missed the mark. So I'm down to 503. I'm trying to hit 480. I've got 488. I want to get a little closer than that. I don't want to be over by 8 grams. Wow, I nailed it. 480 exactly. Okay, cool. And then this starter that's in this paper towel, like it's going to go in the trash. And then I don't have to wash this bowl. And that's cool. I like that. All right, so you can see that I made a big mess in my jar. But that's why we have our dedicated sourdough silicone spatula, and we're just going to clean this up before we add anything to the jar. I just want to make sure that all of the starter is down at the bottom so we can incorporate all of it into the water that we're going to add. So now we have 50 grams of starter in our jar, just like yesterday, and you can see in there it moves pretty good, right? It is, you know, kind of at the end of its 24-hour window of time of being fed, and it's breaking down and it's ready to be fed again. Just clean up some of this stuff off the rim. And you're gonna lose like a gram or two here or there, like on the spatula or on a spoon or whatever. It's no problem. As long as we're in the neighborhood, we are good. Okay, so starter jar goes on the scale. We're gonna zero it out. And I like water first. Why do I like water first? It's all pre-measured. I really don't need to zero it out or anything, but we'll do it anyway. I had my ice cream spoon. You know, I thought I was ready, and I'm just not. Where's my mise en place? Okay, my favorite tool for doing this is an ice cream spoon because it fits. And I'm just gonna mix it in until it's smooth and creamy and there are no chunks. Remember, we're trying to get our starter into solution so that it gets thoroughly distributed into our flour when we add it in a second here. And then also, you know, mixing it into the liquid makes it easier to mix everything together also. You could try it the other way and you will see why I don't do it that way. Sometimes you have to learn for yourself. Okay, so that's creamy. It's dissolved. Zero out my scale again. Put my pre-measured 50 grams of flour in here. 51, so 51 grams of flour. And like I said, a gram or two, no big deal. And we're gonna mix all this together. And I'm not trying to like agitate it like I was saying yesterday. I'm just trying to get it mixed together so there are no floury pockets or nuggets or little puddles like hanging out in the corners of the jar. So this is it. Let's see, I'll give you so here, you know, I've got like starter on my spoon. This is kind of where we can end up losing little bits here and there. And then tomorrow, like you'll weigh it and you'll be like, why do I only have 147 grams of starter? Like this is why, like little couple grams here and there sometimes disappear or here or here. So we'll scrape this down and we're gonna mark our level with a rubber band so we can see how it grows overnight or over the next 24 hours. And I would expect a similar behavior. And maybe I'll take a picture of it again and, you know, mark you know, if I can catch it kind of around that peak, you know, I'll mark it with a rubber band again too. Just so we have that objective visual measurement. Trying to get it all back in the jar. Get off of my finger. There you go. Get in there. Okay, so blue guy, we're gonna stick with red. And is that honest? That level? Okay, so we've got our jar marked. Lid goes on. Loose lid, because we want gases to be able to escape, because now it is producing carbon dioxide gas. It is fermenting. There is a culture of yeast and bacteria and microbes in here doing stuff. So that's it. That is day 3. Tomorrow, day 4, 5, and 6 are going to be pretty much the same. But I will see you tomorrow on day 4 in 24 hours, and we'll take a look at what this starter has done in the next 24 hours.